Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going? So, what am I working on now? I got a 2020 Nissan Envy, the full-size Nissan van. It's a raised roof. It's a big unit, this thing. Anyway, the customer was on the highway near us. They were driving, and they said all of a sudden they lost power, and the check engine light came on, and they got off the highway, and they just came to us. They've been here before, but only one other time, and that was like a year ago. But they knew we were here, so they just decided to come in. I guess they're not from this area, so to speak. It's a work van, so I'm assuming they do like a lot of traveling with it. It's got 121,000 miles on it. So I hooked the scanner up, and I ran a scan. Let's see what we actually got on this. I didn't start it. I haven't started. Apparently it showed up here yesterday at some point, and I have not started. I have not done anything to it. Only got a tire info light on, and it could have a check engine light. They said it had a check engine light. I'm assuming it does. I just didn't start it yet to find out. All right, so here, oops, let me shut that off. Here is the scan. Let me make a report. I generate reports and stick them on every repair order because people have ruined it. Can explain that at another time. Oh, wait a minute. Report, I already did that. So let me share it. This way it emails it to me. And hit send. All right. So what are the actual codes? Let's see. ECM has mass airflow sensor circuit B1 and a multi-cylinder misfire. I would go after the P0101 first before going after the P0300. Transmission control module. That's not good. Second gear incorrect ratio. However, it's got an output speed sensor code too. Usually, I will go after the speed sensor code. The speed sensor code, most of the time, will set multiple incorrect ratio codes. Because it looks at the input speed and the output speed, and it knows, okay, hey, I commanded first gear, so if the input speed is X, the output speed is X. If I command second gear, input speed is X, output speed is X. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, however many gears it has. It knows, hey, I'm supposed to be within a certain parameter of RPM change to know that I'm in that gear. So usually if you have a speed sensor code, you'll have more than one gear ratio error code. Usually a single gear ratio error code is an internal transmission failure, normally. However, I will probably try addressing the speed sensor code first. I want to address the running issue first, see what's going on with that mass air sensor. Could be something simple like hose came off or hose is cracked or something. Let's do a visual first before I start this, and then we're going to go from there. So let's hop out of this bad boy. I got stuff wrapping around my feet here. And there's the hood release. Alright, hang on one second while I figure this out. Okay, so under the hood here, one thing I did notice this. I don't know why that says Nissan van. Don't we know it's a Nissan van? Or is that the part number because it's a used part? I'm thinking it's part number because it's a used part. Somebody trimmed this hose down. So was this thing in a front end accident? Yep. I believe it was. Yeah, this clamp has been moved. The markings on that condenser. Okay. There's mices have chewed through the insulation cover for the high pressure fuel pump. That's also a sound deadener. So, the plot thickens. Now usually what I will do is I will look for this bellow. Here's the mass air meter. I will look for this bellow being torn. And I don't see anything. Other thing to look for too is possible things disconnected that lead here, like this air muffler here. You got these vacuum or these vapor lines here. Nothing looks disconnected. So I'm not overly concerned with any of that. All right. The other thing too is, since this thing took a front end shot, make sure this elbow here that's part of the upper intake, make sure that's not cracked. I'm going to doubt it, only because this thing has been running and driving. And judging by the paint marks on this thing, I would say that this thing was probably repaired a long time ago. I don't think it was anything recent. It doesn't look like it. Especially too, judging by the dirt that's on things, it kind of matches. Like if you look at the radiator, like you can see dirt on top of the radiator there. See it? Dirt there. And it kind of matches the upper hose. So I'm thinking that the damage to this thing was done a while ago. It just doesn't look like it's all that fresh, all that recent. So I'm going to doubt very highly that it's anything with the intake possibly being cracked. So let's start this thing up and let's see what it does, if it does anything. It's an aftermarket radiator. All right, hang on a second. I just switched the microphone setting on my phone here. I just want to see if that changes anything. But this thing did have a little bit of a chuggle when it first started. It did eventually clear up. It doesn't sound bad. All right, I'm thinking it's not that. Air filter's dirty, but it's not like it's plugged up or anything. A very dirty air filter can create problems too with mass airflow sensor readings. Let me just see if this, I don't think it's going to have a dipstick. Let me just see if it does. And let's go back in the vehicle and let's start looking at information on the let's look at information on the scanner. I'm saying that's cool. It's a spacer on the battery. Okay. Yeah, I don't see a dipstick. Alright. So I may take this thing for a ride. Awfully tinny sound when you close that hood. Alright, hang on. Okay, so I decided to take this thing up the road, and it's got no power. Like, bad. It actually, to me, feels as if it's got a plugged exhaust or no fuel pressure. And it's popping through the intake. So, extremely clogged exhaust system can do that. I'll tell you what, the interior on this thing makes a ton of noise. It's a work van. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. Let me get out on the road. I'm just going through a plaza right now. Let me get back on the road. All right. Thank gosh we have a center turn lane in North Carolina, so you can go left or right. Because I'm only a block away really from the shop. So I'm just going to cruise the center turn lane, but I'm full throttle. And this thing's making no power, and it's getting worse. I swear it feels like a plugged exhaust, but it could be something else, but it's not good. Those are mass air readings. I hope you could see that. I'm just trying to make it down the road here. So our shop is coming up right there. I just hope I make it into the shop. Wow, this thing's bad. Oof. All right, let me park this thing and see what the next step is going to be. Now you might be asking yourself, how can a plugged exhaust cause a mass air reading? Well, because the computer is looking, it sees where your foot's at on the throttle, and it's not seeing acceleration, and it's seeing, hey, my throttle blade is open. Why isn't the airflow so at such a point? It's at whatever volume it should be at. So that's why it could set a mass air code, but meanwhile not have a mass air problem. It could still be a problem, but I don't think so. I wasn't even looking at the readings here. I mean, from what I could see so far, they look reasonably normal. Let me do something. Hold on. One thing I've done in the past too, just so it's not a way to tell fully, but the one thing I'll do is, if you go to the car and you think it's got a plugged exhaust, put your hand in front of the actual exhaust as it's running and see how hot it is. Sounds a little ridiculous, but that's like, wow, that's hot coming out of there. Usually it shouldn't be that hot at idle. Let me get a vacuum gauge on this. That'll tell us more. So now I have my vacuum gauge hooked up. Let me show you what I did. Here is my vacuum gauge. We're running about 18, 19 inches of vacuum, something in that range. I took that vacuum port there that goes directly to, I guess that's the part of the purge solenoid system. So I went to that. Nice thing about this is it gives you this nice little handy dandy chart to go off of, and it tells you all the different things, what is it doing. So right now, between 17 and 22, a normal engine in good condition, but I'm thinking we have a back pressure problem. So here we have connect gauge to engine manifold from idle, slowly increase to 2,000 RPM, then quickly close throttle. If you get an increase with the engine speed and a decrease at the same rate when a throttle is closed, indication is it's normal. So let's put this actually where I might be able to see it from inside the vehicle. Like quite possibly here. Ow! So I want to increase the throttle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to increase it to 2,000. Actually, let me, and then let go, and it stayed about the same. So let me do this. Let me shut off the AC too, so I don't want that running. Let me roll down the other window. I don't want anything to affect the reading. So let's just see. So we're holding it at 2,000 and then quickly close the throttle. Okay, the decrease in slow or jerky return when throttle is closed. We had none of that. So excessive exhaust back pressure, no. The other one is gradual drop in the reading at idle, nope. So far, according to the engine, I have nothing there. So according to this, I don't have a plugged exhaust. Could I have a really bad mass air meter? It's always possible, but the readings didn't look bad on the scanner. So what is going on here? I'm not 100% certain. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see what it does. Hang on. Okay, so the thing I wanted to try was I disconnected the mass air meter because I've seen weird things happen with mass air meters in the past, and it's a quick and easy disconnect. A lot of times when you do that, it takes a little bit to get it to restart on the first shot, but you got to turn the key off, turn the key on a lot of times, and then it'll eventually start. But it's exactly the same, no change. So where do I go from here? I'm thinking, well, now we got to check fuel. So if I don't have enough fuel, it'll do this too. let me just back up, get into a spot where I can mess with this. And I'm going to hook the mass air back up. But what I want to do is I want to look at a few other things. Interesting thing to note here. Listen to this. I'm up against the building right there. I'm brake revving it in gear. You hear it's pinging and detonating. The other thing too is, here's fuel pressure. Why is fuel pressure reading that high? Like, it feels like it's low on fuel pressure. So why is that pressure reading that high? That's what I don't understand. I swear that this is a fuel delivery issue. But exactly what, I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to have to do some digging to try to figure out exactly what's going on with this, because this is a bit weird. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here, I did go and I checked the temperatures of the exhaust from what I could see trying to crawl underneath it with this, and it appears to be about the same on both sides. It appears to be. It's hard to tell because I can't really get underneath this thing, and we don't have a lift that can pick it up right now. But I'm truly thinking this is a clogged exhaust. Now, how come the vacuum gauge didn't show it? Because it's a V motor. In order for it to show on that, the clog would have to be where the V comes to a single pipe, where the two pipes come to one. It would have to be after that in the single pipe system. So if one side is breathing freely and the other side is not, of course this thing's not going to have any power, and it's going to really mess up the way this thing runs. So one thing I was looking at is this, and this is the air-fuel ratio sensors, basically the upstream O2 sensors. So check this out. So now they're both reading about the same, 218 roughly. This is bank 2, this is bank 1. But now as I start to rev it up, the voltages should increase. And as you see, bank 2 is dropping. And I'm up around 2,500 RPM. But see how bank 1 is responding? Now I can't, it won't allow me to keep it revving up. So let me do that again. As I rev it up, the voltage on bank 2 comes down, and then I'm going to goose it and let go of the throttle. See how that's responding nice and quick? This side is not. So I'm thinking I have a problem on bank 2. So what does that mean? That means I got to determine which is bank 2, number 1, and then I have to put a exhaust pressure sensor in to where the bank 1 O2 sensor is, or air fuel ratio sensor. Put that in place and see what the back pressure actually is, because I got to well, I would like to do both sides just to see, because I'd be willing to bet it feels like a plugged exhaust, so I'd be willing to bet that that's the problem. And I believe these are manifolds, catalytic converter manifolds on these things. So, all right, let me see what my next step is going to be. All right, so Jaden pulled the front wheels off this, and we checked the left front so far, or the left oxygen sensor. Put the pressure gauge in there, started it up, it stayed at 0, revved it up to 2,500, it stayed at 0. So now we're on the right side, and right side is the one I suspect. So let's see what we got. Okay, that right there is a plugged exhaust. When he revved it up like to 2,500 before, I already checked it, trust me. Revved it up to 2,500 before, it pinned the gauge. So I actually thought I was recording this before, and I never was. Whoops. So that's why I'm recording it now. So yeah, plugged right side exhaust. That's what's creating this whole problem, this whole drivability problem. Left side can breathe, right side can't. Computer doesn't know what to do with it, so messes it all up. Plus, when it starts to detonate, because it's plugged up, it kills the timing. So a whole bunch of issues here are all rolled into one. So We're gonna have to fix this right side cats. So let's see how fast we can get some parts here for this. I'm not here tomorrow, so I'm probably not going to be here to witness the repair of this. So this may end this video for me, but we're going to find out. So the reason, I don't know if I mentioned this before, the reason the gauge read fine on the engine for vacuum, because the vacuum should not stay up. The vacuum should just bloop, fall away. The reason the vacuum stayed fine is because you have one side of the exhaust is plugged up before the Y pipe. You follow? You have a cat on one side, a cat on the other side, and then a Y pipe. If it was plugged, like if there was a cat, if there was a cat after the Y pipe and that cat was plugged, then it would have made a difference. But the left side of this motor is breathing fine. The right side of the motor is the problem, but the vacuum gauge can't tell that. So that's why I wanted to check both sides back pressure. And like I said, the left side stayed right at 0 the whole time. Just at idle, it jumped around a little bit, which is kind of normal because you get pulses in the exhaust. But as you bring the RPMs up, if it was plugged, it should have come up. On this side, it was dead positive the whole time. So, but the customer approved the job. They need the truck back. It's their main work truck. So he needs it back as soon as possible. Not an inexpensive repair, unfortunately. That's quite a pricey cat. So anyway, it was in stock, and whenever you have something pricey like that that's in stock, that tells you something. And a little research that I did, I come to find that the front cats on these things are notorious for breaking apart suddenly and blowing into the exhaust system. So what exactly happened, I don't know, but I know the rest of the exhaust is clear. That I know because of the vacuum gauge reading. So vacuum gauge, you can actually learn a lot from it. So but that's going to be it. The parts are supposed to be here tomorrow for this, and I'm not here tomorrow. But it may be Thursday, too, by the time Jaden gets to work on it, because we got to work on this outside. It's so tall that we can't fit it in the shop, because it's a high roof, and then it's got like these extra high type of ladder racks. It actually hits the top of the door opening. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it. Vacuum gauge has saved me on a number of occasions. But, yeah, so anyway, that's about it. All right, well, hopefully you got something out of that video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.